What is going on, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. Today we are going to be talking about Origin Access Premier and whether or not this particular program from Electronic Arts is worth picking up and plopping down either $15 a month or $100 a year for the subscription-based service from EA, which is very much like a Netflix subscription or Hulu or something like that, where you're basically getting access to a large catalog of games for a monthly or an annual fee. So we'll start right there as with the annual or the monthly fee. So EA for a while has had their EA Origin Basic program, which they're now referring to it as the Basic program because they introduced Premier, which is still available for $5 a month or $30 a year, while the Premier is either $15 a month or $100 a year, which is a very large difference when you think about it. You can pay $100 for a year, or it's $180 altogether if you get the $15 a month. I am currently a Premier member, as I have put down the $100 for the next year because I do feel that the program is worth it for me. But hopefully by the end of this video, you have a little bit more information to help you decide whether or not it's worth it for you as well. So what is the main difference between the Basic and the Premier? Well, with Basic, you get 10-hour trials to all of the new games that come out from EA. So in the next coming year, you could think of it as like you've got Battlefield 5, they just had Madden 19, they're also going to have FIFA 19, and coming in February, they're also going to have the new game from BioWare, which is known as Anthem. So all of these games you would get 10-hour early access trials to, which is the main reason I kind of subscribed to it initially, is because I wanted to be able to try these games out before they were available to the general public, and to also decide whether or not I wanted to pay $60 for the full game. However, with the Premier membership, you are getting full access to these games, and they are added to your video game library, at least for the time being, while you have access to Origin Premier, which is one of the biggest sticking points. So if you have Origin Premier and let's say you subscribe for a month and it runs out, you then lose access to that game. Or if you have it for a year and you're playing the game, you then lose access to it. So a lot of people are definitely concerned about that. Some people are kind of in the camp, well, you know, it's worth it to pay it for annually if you're going to pay it for every single year, because you're going to get to hold on to those games for as long as you have that membership. But if you're only going to get it for a year and then unsubscribe, then you are going to lose access to those games. So that's definitely a main concern from people picking up Origin Premier. Another is DLC, which we can definitely answer in this video because I got in touch with Electronic Arts to find out if DLC is going to be included along with Origin Premier. Another thing a lot of people have wondered about is whether or not Origin Access is going to be included along for consoles, which actually would have been a really good thing if they did that, because they do have EA Access available on the Xbox. And as someone that personally owns a PC as well as a PlayStation 4 Pro, it would have been really great if this did have a crossover for all platforms, really, because then it would have made it like you would have like an infinite license for the Premier for any EA games, and you could have played it on any platform, which would have been really nice. But unfortunately, that's not really the issue, as EA has answered it themselves over on the forums when they were asked if the Origin Access Premier would continue over for EA Access members on the Xbox, and they said, unfortunately, we don't have any information on such changes to EA Access, and Origin Access Premier is a completely separate service. If anything changes on this front, we will let you know, and thank you for the post. But basically for right now, if you have EA Access on the Xbox, it's going to continue to operate the same as the Origin Access Basic service, which is available on the PC. So the whole Premier thing is basically a PC exclusive, and if you want to get this program, this Netflix-like subscription service to have access to the full games, you're going to have to utilize it on the PC. So what about new games that are coming out? Let's say in a few months from now, well, we know in a few months from now, the new Battlefield game is going to come out, the new World War II based title, Battlefield 5 or Battlefield V, whatever you want to refer to it as. This new game is going to come out, and they're going to have a standard edition, they're going to have a deluxe edition, and most likely they're going to also have post-launch content and DLC, which a lot of people have asked, if I buy into this Origin Access Premier program, do I get access to all of the DLC that comes out afterwards? And the only honest answer I could give you right now is maybe, probably, which is coming directly from EA. So if we look over on the Battlefield 5 Choose Your Edition website, where you can pick either the $60 version or the $80 version, they include Origin Access Premier on here, where Origin Access Premier pretty much gives you access to the Deluxe Edition, which has all of the content included along with the Deluxe Edition. As this was explained to me by EA, you get access to the highest available edition of the game. So if a game comes out and it has a version of the game which includes all of the post-launch content, then you will get all of the post-launch content as well. But they honestly cannot give me a firm answer on whether or not you're going to get all of the DLC for Battlefield 5. So as I said earlier in this video, I got in touch with EA via their live chat platform, which you can get through the EA Help program, because I wanted to find out before I decided to spend $100 whether or not I would get access to all the DLC for games like Battlefield 5 or Anthem. And I spoke to someone over at EA, and they were able to tell me this. Well, as of right now, it still depends on the game. Like if it's Madden 19, all Hall of Fame DLC will be included, but on some games it will not, which I replied, how about Battlefield 5? They said, as of now, Battlefield 5, we have not yet received information on which version Origin Premier will be allowing players to play, but it is usually the most upgraded version of that game, which I mentioned previously. And I said, okay, but I'm curious as to post-launch DLC that will release after the game. I want to know if that's included or if there will be an option to purchase the DLC for a game in the membership, which they said, actually, yes, you will be allowed to buy a DLC that is not provided with Origin Premier, and you can even keep them after you are no longer subscribed to Premier since you purchased the DLC, but you will have to purchase the full game if you want to have access to that DLC, which is included all along with it, which, kind of makes sense. But I still wanted to know whether or not it would be included with the $99 a year subscription. Because as I explained to them, I feel like if I'm paying $99 a year to have access to all of their games, I should be able to get the DLC along with it. And they said, yes, actually it should, because there is a very high chance it is actually, since so far most of the games with Origin Premier has the DLC come with the games. But right now, since there is still no new news on Battlefield 5, I suggest, if that is the only game you're after, to wait for more news to come available before picking up Origin Premier. So, kind of a convoluted answer coming from EA on whether or not post-launch content will be included along with the game. Basically, their answer is that most of the games that are available right now do include the post-launch DLC, which is 100% accurate, as I have some of those games right now in my EA library, like Battlefield 1, a game which has been out since last November, and I have all of the additional content for that game. If you look over in my game library, since I got the Origin Access Premier, which I did not have the Season Pass prior to this, or the Premium Pass, whatever they're calling it, I did not have that. But once I got Origin Access Premier, they instantly added all of the additional content to my library for that game. As you can see right here, that I have it unlocked for the Battlefield 1 Premium Pass. So I am very hopeful that once Battlefield 5 comes out, as just an example, I mean, this can include Anthem as well, if that's going to have DLC or Madden 19 or whatever, I am hopeful that those games will include DLC as well, but EA is also very hesitant to give a firm answer on whether or not all games will include post-launch content. So take that for what it is. But either way, I'm still considering EA Origin Access Premier to be a pretty good value for what is included along with it, because even if you're going to play just 2 or 3 games a year, if you are able to put up the $100 up front, it does pretty much pay for itself. But this is really going to be going on a case-by-case basis, because if you're only going to play 1 EA game a year, then it really doesn't make sense to go ahead and pick up the Origin Access Premier. But for someone like me that usually ends up playing pretty much all of the big AAA titles from EA in a given year, so for like this year, I'm going to play Madden 19, which I've already been playing. I'm going to play FIFA 19. I'm going to play Battlefield 5. In February, once it comes out, I'm going to be playing Anthem, which is 4 games right there. So you're looking at 4 times 6, that's $240 worth of games that I'm going to be getting access to, which for $100 a year is a pretty good value. And of course, the argument can be made that once the subscription, subsides after a year, I'm either going to go lose access to those games, or I'm going to have to put down another $100. And I'm personally okay with putting down the extra $100 because that means I'm going to continue getting access to all of the new games for the year after the fact, once I continue paying for that membership, and all of the games from the year before. So you get access to all of the games from EA. It's really going to end up on your case-by-case basis on whether or not you actually want to play all of their big AAA titles, because if you only want to play one game a year, it's probably not going to be worth it to you. And of course, if you just outright hate EA and you don't want to give them any money whatsoever, which I can completely understand because of their history with loot boxes in Battlefront 2 and pretty much every other game they've had out that has decided to screw over the consumer, I can 100% understand your standpoint on that. But like I said, for me, and especially as someone that's a content creator and that wants to produce content on all of the new games coming out, something like this definitely makes a lot of sense for someone like me, and I would look forward to the discussion down in the comments below, as always, on whether or not you're going to pick up EA Access Premier, or Origin Access Premier, I should say, whether or not it's going to be worth it for you. But as I said, for me, it's going to be worth it to just get the base game, let alone the fact that you're going to get the highest edition of the game. And I'm also hopeful that we'll get access to all the DLC as well, even though EA gave a very non-committal response as to whether or not we would have access to every single piece of DLC post-launch. So hopefully once we get more concrete information, I can kind of update you guys on this in the future, but this is all that we have for now. So if you enjoyed this video or you found it informative in any way, please leave a like on it down below and subscribe if you're not already. And I will catch you guys tomorrow for another video. Ciao.